The sound of a grinder cutting through glass. It's a harsh, industrial noise, completely out of place in the hallowed halls of the Louvre. But on a crisp October morning, just half an hour after the museum opened, that was the sound of history being torn apart. In a scene straight out of a Hollywood blockbuster, for thieves, disguised in what looked like construction vests, used an electric ladder to scale the museum's facade. In 7 minutes, they smashed the display cases in the Galerie d'Apollon, the very gallery that houses the French crown jewels, and vanished into the Parisian traffic on motorbikes. It was audacious. It was professional. But in our scenario, it was also perfect. The trail goes cold. The 60 detectives assigned to the case hit one dead end after another. The world moves on, but the jewels are gone, vanished not just from the museum, but from history itself. So, what happens when an irreplaceable piece of our past is swallowed by the criminal underworld forever? This isn't just a story about stolen goods. This is about the death of a story. The thieves didn't just take diamonds and sapphires. They stole fragments of fallen empires. They took the necklace and earrings of Empress Marie-Louise, Napoleon Bonaparte's second wife. They took the tiara of Queen Marie-Amélie and the brooch and bodice bow of Empress Eugenie, the last empress of the French. These weren't just expensive rocks. They were artifacts touched by the hands of queens, witnesses to the opulence and the horror of revolution. They were a direct, tangible link to a world that no longer exists. We're going to follow the phantom trail of these lost treasures, not to find them, but to understand their terrifying new fate. We will dive into the shadowy world where priceless history becomes a currency, and explore the chilling reality that some of the world's most beautiful objects are destined for a life in the shadows, forever hidden from us. First, you have to understand the precision of the theft. The thieves ignored the 140-carat Regent diamond, one of the most famous gems in the world. Why? Because it's too famous, too recognizable, a beacon that would bring any heat down on them. They also dropped Empress Eugenie's diamond-encrusted crown in their haste, a clumsy mistake that suggests their 7-minute window was brutally tight. But what they did take tells us they weren't just common thugs. They took 9 specific items: necklaces, earrings, tiaras. These are pieces that are incredibly valuable, but perhaps slightly less iconographically singular than the Regent. They were targeted. They were chosen. And their value isn't the price tag an auction house would put on them. It's the incalculable value of a story. Imagine a necklace that rested on the collar of Empress Marie-Louise as she watched Napoleon's empire crumble. That's not just jewelry, it's a time capsule. And now, that capsule is lost. So, you've pulled off the perfect heist. You have a bag full of jewels that are quite literally priceless. What do? You can't walk into Christie's or Sotheby's. These pieces are more famous than they are valuable. Their description, their unique antique cuts, their microscopic inclusions are all logged, photographed, and distributed to every law enforcement agency and high-end dealer on the planet. Trying to sell the Marie-Louise necklace on the open market would be like trying to sell the Mona Lisa by posting it on Facebook. You'd be arrested before you could hit post. This leads to the most common and most brutal assumption: they melted down. But this is a fool's errand, a crime of ignorance. A historic diamond like these isn't just valued for its carat weight. Its value is in its unique, antique cut, a style that is no longer practiced and reflects the craftsmanship of its era. To recut it into a modern, generic shape would be to destroy 90% of its value and all of its history. It would be like turning a Shakespearean first folio into toilet paper. The thieves, professionals who clearly cased the joint, know this. They aren't going to destroy their prize. So, if they don't melt it and they can't sell it, where does it go? It enters a world most of us will never see. The ghost market for the ultra-rich. This isn't a market of money. It's a market of power and prestige. The buyers aren't looking for an investment. They're looking for the ultimate trophy, a secret more potent than any amount of public fame. Imagine a reclusive billionaire, an oligarch, or a crime lord who has everything. What do you give them? You give them a piece of lost history. The sale would be handled not by a dealer, but by a ghost broker, a shadowy figure who operates on absolute discretion and unbreakable codes of conduct. This broker doesn't show photos. They arrange a secret meeting, perhaps on a super yacht in international waters or in a sterile, private vault in Geneva. The jewels aren't presented in a velvet box. They might be laid out on a simple black cloth, their brilliance the only light in the room. The new owner doesn't buy the Marie-Louise necklace to wear it to a state dinner. They buy it to own a secret. They buy it for the private, intoxicating thrill of knowing that in their vault, a piece of the world's heritage is hidden, stolen from the public eye, and belongs only to them. The jewels might be reset into a new, gaudy, modern piece, their historical significance masked by their new, brutalist setting. Or, more chillingly, they might be broken up. A sapphire from a tiara could be used to salt a lesser necklace, secretly enhancing its value in a way only the owner would ever know. The emeralds from the queen's earrings become the centerpiece of a private, custom creation. They become phantoms, living a second life, their stories silenced, their beauty a secret whispered between a handful of people. The permanent loss of these jewels would send a shockwave through the entire world of art and culture. The Louvre, already a fortress, would become an impenetrable stronghold. Other museums would follow suit. The era of open, accessible display cases would be over. Thick, laminated glass would be replaced by polycarbonate barriers. Security would become so invasive that the simple, joyful act of looking at a masterpiece would feel like visiting a maximum security prison. But the deeper wound is cultural. It's the principle of the thing. As French President Emmanuel Macron said, it's an attack on a heritage that we cherish because it is our history. These jewels don't belong to France or to the long-dead empresses. They belong to all of us. They are part of the shared human story. Their disappearance is an act of cultural vandalism. It tells us that history is not a public trust, but a commodity that can be stolen, hoarded, and erased. The jewels are still out there, somewhere, but they are no longer part of our world. They have become ghosts, and their haunting is a reminder that in a battle between shared heritage and private greed, heritage doesn't always win. The fate of these jewels is one of the great modern mysteries, a phantom limb in the world of art history. But this is just one possible dark outcome. Now, we want to hear from you. What do you think really happens to priceless artifacts when they vanish? Do you think they're hidden in private collections, or have they been destroyed forever? What would you do if you were the one trying to sell them? Share your theories and your wildest ideas in the comments below. We love reading every single one. If this story of lost history and shadowy fortunes captivated you, hit that like button to let us know. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to What If and tap that notification bell. It's the best way to ensure you never miss an exploration into the hidden corners of our world. So, what if the Louvre's stolen jewels were never recovered? They wouldn't just be lost, they would be transformed. They would cease to be public treasures and become private ghosts, their stories silenced in a vault, their brilliance a secret for an audience of one. The greatest tragedy wouldn't be their monetary loss, but the cultural amnesia they represent. It's a chilling thought that some of the most beautiful and important objects ever created by mankind may not be lost to time, but are simply being kept from us, hidden in the shadows by a world we will never see.